Hello and welcome to the Locked On Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Wednesday, September the 1st. Happy September as the Cardinals split a doubleheader with the Cincinnati Reds, but they do take care of business and win the series 2 games out of 3. Some negatives, some positives. We're breaking it all down on today's episode of Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Once again, everybody, welcome into the show. My name is Lucas Smith, host of Locked On Cardinals. We're brought to you today by Spotify Green Room. Be sure to download the Spotify Green Room app and find one of our Locked On rooms. Cardinals split a doubleheader on Wednesday with the Cincinnati Reds, and they win the series, though, taking 2 out of 3. So it wasn't the most dominating series, despite the positive offense here and there. But the Cardinals are able to walk away with a series win. So if you missed it, Jeff and I talked about game 1 of the series that happened all the way back on Monday on yesterday's episode of Locked On Cardinals, both on the YouTube page as well as your favorite podcasting platform. So today I'm talking game 2 and 3. So both games of the doubleheader, and then tomorrow's Locked On Cardinals. I'll be talking about should any Cardinals be in the running for national awards. Simple answer, or the quick answer you might say, is no. But I'll break it down a little bit and give why the Cardinals might have a dark horse candidate in a couple different categories. We're going to go ahead and get started on today's show, talking a little bit, or starting with game 1 as the Cardinals do dominate or do take care of this, I should say. In game 1, as Paul Goldschmidt is the one doing the dominating, as you see on YouTube there, DH, of course, meaning doubleheader, as the Cardinals get by the final score of 5-4. I talked about on yesterday's show the fact that the recipe for the Cardinals' success would be strong pitching. That's how they're going to win the game. So that's how they're going to be successful. They did not have strong pitching in games 2 and 3 of this series in either game doubleheader. Miles Michaels was not sharp. J.A. Happ was not sharp at all. And I'll get into his start in a little bit later on in the second segment. But from an offensive standpoint, there were lots of positives from this game as the Cardinals were able to muster 14 hits, scoring 5 runs. Paul Goldschmidt connects for 2 of those home runs as he is off, or continuing rather, his extremely hot start. I guess you could say he's off to a hot start here in September. And if the Cardinals are going to make a run in this September, in which they play, as I look at my handy-dandy calendar up here, Milwaukee, Los Angeles, Cincinnati, New York, Padres, Milwaukee, Chicago for 4, and then Milwaukee again for 3. If they're going to make a stretch run, they need Paul Goldschmidt to do what Paul Goldschmidt is doing. According to MLB.com, let's take a look at his last 2 weeks. He's been on fire for a while. Let's just take a look at his last 2 weeks, or 15 games, I guess I should say. 6 home runs, 14 runs driven in. He's got hitting .386, on base of .453, slugging .860. .860 is his slugging percentage in his last 15 games. His last 7 games, it's .957. These are remarkable numbers. Paul Goldschmidt is still an extremely valuable and extremely strong part of this team. There's no question about it. Paul Goldschmidt, when right, can be one of the most dominating hitters in all of baseball. Jeff and I talked about it a little bit yesterday on the show. What would a conversation between Paul Goldschmidt and Joey Votto be? And that was kind of fun to break down a little bit. But the fact of the matter is that both those guys are still very good hitters, even at this stage in their career. And Paul Goldschmidt is showing you that right now. He's putting up numbers that we haven't seen him do in a Cardinal uniform since his tenure began. I mean, let's take a look at 2019, 260 the average, 346 on base, 476 slugging. Those are solid numbers. But now 287 is the average, 355 the on base, 493 the slugging. All those numbers up, and away. Home runs have a chance to surpass his 10 runs, but he should pass the RBI total from that year. Has a chance to be a 3,100 man. Nolan Arenado also has that chance. But for me, Paul Goldschmidt, I mean, obviously he was the difference in this game, hitting the 2 home runs that he did, getting on base on all 4 occasions as he does draw 2 other walks. Paul Goldschmidt was pretty remarkable in that game 1 today. Outside of him, the Cardinals were able to get a little bit of offense. Tyler O'Neill had a double. And here's even a home run. Harrison Bader trying to maybe do in September what he did back in July, because August was not kind to Mr. Bader, including these 2 games today. When you look at Bader's last 30 games, which is about a month About a month sample size, give or take, beg your pardon. He's 20 for 112. That's a 179 average, a 244 on base, and a 241 slugging, and a 31 punch outs. So hopefully Harrison Bader can restart things a little bit. But to me, the story of that game was not only Paul Goldschmidt, because he obviously dominated, like I said, hitting 2 home runs, two on base all 4 times, didn't strike out once. But the bullpen really saved the Cardinals as they go 4 shutout innings. Genesis Cabrera with 2 shutout innings. That was remarkable. Saved the bullpen a little bit, especially knowing what was going to happen as the Cardinals have a 1 inning start from J.A. Happ and have to turn away from Junior Fernandez quickly because of injury. Huge for Cabrera to go 2 innings there. Luis Garcia goes a scoreless inning, and a Giovanni Gallegos, who is, in my opinion, the team's new closer, closes out, gets to save his 4th of the season. His ERA is down to 2.97. Again, bullpen ERA isn't necessarily the best case to go off, or the best number to go off of for what an effective bullpen looks like. But nevertheless, the bullpen was another positive. Paul Goldschmidt and the bullpen carried this team to a win today as the Cardinals were able to secure a series win. You would have loved for them to get not only the doubleheader sweep, but the sweep of the series and be just a half a game out. But as it stands right now, the Cardinals sit at 68 and 63, Reds at 71 and 63, so they're even in the loss column, both at 63 games, the Reds having played just a few more games, obviously, than the St. Louis Cardinals, so there still is a bit of a difference there. But it's going to be a fun and exciting September. At least it has the makings of one. Because when you look at that second wildcard spot, which is very attainable for a number of different teams, the Padres, Phillies, and Cardinals are all within 3 games. Cardinals are just 2.5 back of the Cincinnati Reds as I sit here and record this on Wednesday night. So the Cardinals show that they have the ability, rather, to beat a playoff team. And again, I'll talk about that a little bit more in segment number 3 as to, how much do you take into effect this one series. I misspoke earlier. The record on the game was 1-off. The Cardinals are 68 and 64. Beg your pardon. The Reds are 72 and 63. So still very close. 2.5 games back. You got to play the games. And game 1 was a very good indicator. Again, I know it was a 7-inning game, but it was a good indicator that the Cardinal offense, at least Paul Goldschmidt, has the capability to be very solid. And I think that's when Paul Goldschmidt is going right, and Nolan Arenado had a home run in game number 2. Tommy Edman also had a productive day. I mentioned Tyler O'Neill had the extra base hit. When he's going right, when Paul Goldschmidt is clicking, this offense is clicking 100%. He is a cog in this lineup. They signed him to that big contract, that they made the big trade for him because they knew that he was going to be a difference maker. He's proved that at least here in the second half. He has put up some gaudy numbers here in the second half. Home run numbers are down, but the second half of the season post All-Star break isn't exactly the halfway point. But still, like I said, like I mentioned earlier, Paul Goldschmidt slugging at an 800 clip in the last 15 days. He's got 6 home runs of his 22 hits. Pretty remarkable stuff from the Cardinal first baseman, and something that the Cardinals desperately need down the stretch. And it's a good thing that the momentum is in the Cardinals' hands. So that's all the positives from game 1. Paul Goldschmidt, bullpen, throwing Bader's positive as well. Dylan Carlson had 2 hits. So, yes, very, very positive. One negative thing from this game that I will share, and again, it's hard to complain about a 14-hit barrage, but 14 hits and 5 runs means you're going to strand some base runners. Cardinals stranded 9, went 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position. So, there were some positives. Game 1 saw a couple of runners stranded on base and 0 for with runners in scoring position as well. But hey, win's a win. Cardinals take the series. It's a positive thing. This afternoon, I was feeling good. I don't know about you guys, but like my shirt, I was feeling green. I was feeling good and happy and ready to go. And then game 2 happened. Game 2 is not as pretty, not as fun. We'll still talk about it, break it all down here in the next segment of Locked On Cardinals. But first, I want to tell you about our title sponsor today, and that is Green Room. It's the first social and audio platform made for sports fans like you and me. The app is free to download, and once you're in, you can talk with me, other fans, athletes, and insiders in real time about your favorite team or sport. I'll be hosting rooms for Locked On Cardinals once a week, and you can finally join in on the conversation you listen to here every day. It's a perfect place to join or start conversations around the league, and you will have a chance to chat with me when I host a locker room. I hosted one for the Cardinals, re-signed Yadier Molina. So we're in there for debates, watch parties, post-game breakdowns, and biggest news and rumors. So go download the free Green Room app now, available on all iOS devices. Be sure to create a profile, link your Twitter, and join the MLB group for all the latest league updates. Follow me at LJ Fastball to be notified when my room goes live. I know you won't want to miss it, and I don't want to miss you there as well. It's going to be fun. So I'll be sure to see you there. Green Room is changing the way we talk sports. Hope you guys enjoyed the game one. I sure did. Hope you guys had the positives out, ready to roll. I was ready for a sweep. Sweeping a doubleheader is not an easy thing. I wasn't putting it in the bag. But on yesterday's show and on Monday's crossover with Jeff as well, I predicted the Cardinals would lose 2 out of 3, and that the Reds would take 2 out of 3. The Cardinals were only going to win one game. So I was wrong. I'm happy to be wrong in that case. But the Cardinals did lose game 3 today, or game 3 of the series and game 2 of the doubleheader, and it was ugly. 12-2. Tommy Edman, home run, first inning. Positive. Love that. When Tommy Edman, when anybody in the top of the lineup is rolling, that's a good thing. Seems pretty obvious to say, right? So he got things going with the home run. You're feeling pretty good. J.A. Happ coming off a string of some really good starts, has pitched well as a Cardinal, and J.A. Happ just picked the absolute worst time to turn in his worst start as a St. Louis Cardinal. It's his final line, just 1 inning, 8 hits, 7 earned runs, 2 walks, 2 home runs. By far the worst start as a Cardinal. It wasn't even close. Because prior to this start as a Cardinal, his lowest innings pitched were 5, and his highest earned runs were 2. Put it this way, in 5 August starts, he pitched 28 1/3 innings and gave up 7 earned runs. In 1 September start, he has pitched 1 inning and given up 7 earned runs. His ERA went from 5.76 to 6.20. That is not good. So J.A. Happ picked a really, really bad time to just flat out not get anybody out. And somebody that he was unable to get out in his tenure, Nicholas Castellanos. As Castellanos blasts 2 home runs, one of them being a grand slam in that 7-run second inning for the Cincinnati Reds. Because in this game, the bullpen was not able to hold the lead. The only scoreless outings were from Cody Whitley, inning in the 3rd, and it was good to see Reyes get a scoreless inning, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But let's talk about Castellanos. Castellanos had his bat checked for Bennett. According to Derek Gold, who tweeted, and I'm reading it here, quote, that they were checking the bat to see how much the bat chipped when Castellanos went to the plate, according to an MLB official. They decided the bat did not determine him from hitting the ball out of the park. Did not determine him hitting the ball out of the park. Quote, the bat was okay, official says. So long story short, the officials who checked the bat didn't deem that the chip was affecting the bat plane. It was a pretty significant chip. I don't know if you guys saw a picture of it or not, but it was very significant. It seems kind of weird to me. I don't think it would have affected too much. I don't think J.A. Happ, I don't think Nicholas Castellanos needed any additional help when facing J.A. Happ tonight, because he just did not get the job done. Plain and simple. And, this one start does not make the move a terrible move. You can argue it was or a bad move in the time, and that's a different argument. J.A. Happ has surpassed any and all expectations I think anybody had for him coming into this start, or coming in whenever he got traded. I don't think anybody had too high of expectations, myself included, and Happ really has turned that around, in my opinion. He has pitched very well as a St. Louis Cardinal up until today. Like I said, he picked a very, very bad time to do so. Behind him, Junior Fernandez, who did leave the game as well, pitched just an inning just a third of an inning rather. He's charged with 2 earned runs. Ponce de Leon, an inning and a third. He's charged with 2 earned runs. Cody Whitley, Brandon Dixon as well, who's a nice Olympic story. He goes an inning, gives up a run on a solo blast to. Excuse me, I'm scrolling a little bit too quickly here. To Eugenio Suarez. So I know Jeff Carr was happy to actually see Suarez get a home run, because Suarez almost did a home run in the first inning as well, and Suarez has been struggling. So I know Jeff Carr of Locked On Reds was happy to see that. But Brandon Dixon is somebody who has pitched for the Cardinals in the past. All the way back in 2011. He most recently pitched for them in 4 games, 6 1/3 innings pitched in 2012. Dixon was, a member, technically, of that 2011 World Series championship team, also part of the Olympic team here for the Tokyo Olympics. So good story there for Brandon Dixon. But we kind of saw the extreme highs of the St. Louis Cardinals today and the extreme lows. We did not see good starting pitching today, and that would normally be included in an extreme high. But splitting a doubleheader isn't necessarily a bad thing, especially when you have the series won. It was a successful start to the doubleheader, wonderful. But the way the Cardinals lost in game number 2 is not ideal, even in the slightest of terms. But it's definitely kind of eyebrow raising to think, ooh, which of these is the real Cardinal team? And it's hard to pinpoint because it's a long season, right? And you're going to have different games that different happen. But based on how the Cardinals have played against teams that are above 500, I'll get that stat pulled up here in just a moment. You'd have to wonder if the latter is really how the Cardinals play is the real Cardinals team. I'm not saying they're going to lose 12-2 every time, but you have to wonder, is that really who they play? Because the Cardinals against above 500 teams are 23-35. So of the teams I mentioned who are in the hunt for a wildcard spot, you could say the Mets, they're 5.5 back. But let's just look at the Cardinals, Phillies, Padres, and Reds. Cardinals, Phillies, Padres, and Reds. Okay, so the Cardinals are 23-35 against teams above 500. Not good. The Reds are 33-40 against teams above 500. Not great. Phillies, 33-35 against teams above 500. Not great as well. Padres, 32-25 against teams above 500. That is good. So the only team that has successful numbers against teams above 500 are the San Diego Padres. So the Cardinals are facing every game that they play for the rest of this season, other than the Chicago Cubs, who are 58-75. They play them 4 times in the second to last week of the season. Cardinals are facing above 500 teams. I'm sorry, and the Mets as well, who are 65-67. My apologies. But that's only 7 games against teams that are sub 500 at this moment in time. The Mets could be above 500 by the time they play them. So getting clobbered like this in the second game of a doubleheader before you leave town, yes, you won the series, and I try and be as positive as I can. They won the series. Most of the time, I would say the Cardinals have the momentum going forward, but this game too was just such a momentum killer. It really was. I think that even if you switch it, if the Cardinals get clobbered 12-2 in the first game and then come back and win 5-4 in the second game, or get clobbered whatever, or even if they lose the first one, the second, you leave with a better taste in your mouth. We saw the highest of highs, the lowest of lows, and the Cardinals, in my opinion, and they can spin it all they want, and I'm sure they are, and I'm sure they're very happy to take 2 out of 3. I'm happy they took 2 out of 3 as well, but I do think as well, leaving town like that has to just absolutely be brutal. And hopefully when they play them next weekend, I keep looking over there on the YouTube channel because that's where my schedule is. When they play the Reds next weekend at home, the Cardinals are locked and loaded and ready to go. So that's the Game 2 recap. Wasn't pretty, wasn't good, wasn't fun in any sense of the word, but the Cardinals do come away with a series win. So we'll give kind of my series recap thoughts in segment number 3, as well as talk a little bit about the upcoming Brewers series, what I'm looking for there, and kind of previewing tomorrow's episode about possible national award shows or national award candidates of the St. Louis Cardinals coming up here in just a moment. But first, I want to tell you about the best tasting protein bar on the market. If you're a longtime listener, you know. If you're short-term, you know. If you're a new listener, I'm here to tell you it is Built Bar. They have so many delicious flavors. They have something for everyone, whether it's coconut, cherry barcia, raspberry, mint brownie, double chocolate, salted caramel, strawberry, orange, cookies and cream, German chocolate. They have something for everybody. And if you don't know, because you got so many choices, get yourself a mixed box where you get 2 of each of the 9 flavors. I'm getting myself a box of double chocolate whenever I order. I always love myself some double chocolate. It's called double chocolate because they're all covered 100% in chocolate. But that doesn't mean these bars aren't healthy. They are extremely healthy with 17 to 18 grams of protein in each bar, calories ranging from 130 to 180, 4 to 5 grams of sugar and net carbs as well. Amazing flavors, all tasty, all healthy. So order today. What are you waiting for? Built Bar is also the official protein bar of the U.S. track and field team. That's pretty neat as well. So many good reasons. I'll give you one more with the promo code LOCKED15. Enter that promo code at built.com for 15% off your order at built.com. Once again, that promo code LOCKED15, LOCKED15 for 15% off your order at built.com. And stop me if this sounds familiar. You've got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you stream your favorite shows, and you're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbor's best friend's login for the good stuff. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all the entertainment you love without the hassle and a great way to get your TV life together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch all your favorite sports, shows, and movies all in one time, all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes, no need to buy another device ever again for your TV needs. And best part, no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directv.com. That is directv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package. St. Louis Cardinals should be feeling decent about themselves, because as much as I did say that it does suck to leave with a bad taste in your mouth, this series is a positive one. It's one series. I get that. They have a lot of opportunities to not live up to expectations coming up the next month. They have a lot of opportunities to fall back down or whatever you want to say. I get that. September is not going to be easy. But the fact that the Cardinals were able to beat a playoff team, in my opinion, says a lot about them. Because let's go back and look at the St. Louis Cardinals schedule together. And let's take a look at the last time that they won, or the last number of series against playoff or playoff contending teams, okay? So they won this one against the Reds, who as of now hold the playoff spot and will be contending for the playoffs for the rest of the season until the last day, in my opinion. They played the Milwaukee Brewers August 17th through the 19th, and they lost 2 out of 3. They played the Atlanta Braves, who currently are first place in the NL East. They got swept in St. Louis. They didn't beat an above 500 team in a series in the month of August. Granted, they only had 2, but still. Going back to July, they played the Cincinnati Reds. They lost 2 out of 3 there on July 23rd through the 24th. Last time the Cardinals beat a playoff team in a series was the San Francisco Giants when they did that twice in the month of July 5th through the 7th and July 16th through the 18th. Twice since July. And again, not a lot of opportunities. I get that. But let's go back even further. They lost 3 out of 4 to the Atlanta Braves on June 17th through the 20th. They lost to a playoff team at the time, getting swept by the Cubs June 11th through the 13th. They took 3 out of 4 against the Reds the first weekend of June. They lost 2 out of 3 to the Dodgers that middle week of June. The Cardinals have not played well against 500 teams. There's no other way to put it. 23-35. So for the fact that the Cardinals were able to get this series win as a clubhouse guy, as a player, as a coach, as a fan of this team, that part is positive. Yes, I get there are negatives about this series. I just mentioned about them, but the bottom line is a series win, a month to go in the season. You've got just 2.5 games out of a wild card spot, of a playoff spot. Once you get into the playoff spot, anything can happen. We've seen this a lot as people who follow the Cardinals. We might say that too much looking back to 2011, 2006, 1964 as well, or 3 years that are called out a lot as saying anything can happen. I think it was 2014, the second wild card Giants made a big run to the World Series. I get that in 2012 mixed up. I think it was 14. Had to have been 14. There wasn't a second, or Cardinals were the second wild card in 2012. So get to the playoffs, anything can happen. I'm not saying the Cardinals would be favored against the Dodgers or Giants. They wouldn't be at all. Even against the Giants when the Cardinals won that season series. It's going to be tough to get in. It's going to be tough once you're in, but it's going to be really tough to get in with this Cardinals remaining schedule. Maybe the Mets continue to struggle a little bit, and that becomes more of an easier series. Cubs series, at least on paper, should be a little bit easier. Cardinals have had some decent success in their most recent series, taking 3 out of 4. That could have been a sweep. Trying to stay positive without being just blindly positive is how I'm trying to take the rest of this series, the rest of this season, And to me, that means looking at the fact that Cardinals just beat a playoff team in a series. That's I feel like I use the phrase "that's huge" a lot, so I'm going to try and stay away from that. But that is a big momentum push. If you're going to spend that way, I get it. That there are still things to talk about. There are still things to be worried about from this Cardinal team. But it's a big time positive. This weekend, they have chances all the way up until really September 24th to try and prove themselves. You could argue September 13th they play the Mets. That might be a break of a playoff team. They're going to have to keep proving it day in and day out. They're going to need a 2011 type of run to get to the playoffs. I'm not even saying this team has the capability to do that or has the capability to Or I'm not saying this team has the capability to make it to the World Series. I'm not saying they don't. I'm just saying they're going to need a 2011 type run, not only from them, but as Sully from Locked On MLB has pointed out to me numerous times, they're going to need a couple teams to fall off the table, or at least struggle down the stretch. So it's going to be a tall task. I hope I'm not shattering any of your guys' perception of what the season is going to be, because any followers of this team should know that this is not going to be an easy climb. Even though the Cardinals are just 2.5 back, because of their schedule, it's going to be extremely tough. And now with really three or four question marks in the rotation outside of Adam Wainwright, is John Lester still a question mark? Probably. Is J.A. Happ a question mark now? Maybe. Maybe it was just one fluke start. K.K. Camlin is still a question mark. Miles Michaelis is still a question mark. It's going to be a really tall task. This weekend, the NL Central is decided. The Brewers are winning the NL Central. End of play today, the Brewers have a 10-game lead. I think magic number is 19. Excuse me. The Reds' elimination number is 19. The NL Central is locked. It's over. But the Cardinals can still make it tough, and they're going to have to win the series and have to prove that they can beat playoff teams. It's going to be a tall task. The Cardinals are going to have Adam Wainwright going on Friday, so that's a big time positive. On tomorrow's show, on Thursday's off-day show, going to be talking about should any Cardinals be in the category of a national award, Cy Young, MVP, et cetera, et cetera. I'll tell you right now, I think Paul Goldschmidt might be making a case to be in that running if he continues his hot stretch. Should Adam Wainwright be a Cy Young contender? Should Dylan Carlson be Rookie of the Year? Should Giovanni Gallegos be in the run for Reliever of the Year? Those 4 questions I will answer, and I will, give reasoning to why, yes. I'll also be kind of giving my thoughts on it, but I will start the show and go through most of the show giving reasons why, yes. So be sure to tune in to Thursday's show of Locked On Cardinals. But that's going to do it for this show of Locked On Cardinals. Thank you for watching it late, listening to it late. Wanted to kind of recap the whole series in one show, so I'm doing a late episode here on Wednesday, September 1st. Happy September, everybody. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at LJ Fastball for most of the coverage. Also follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at LO_Cardinals. Email the show anytime at lockedoncards@gmail.com. Be sure to tell your friends about the show. Subscribe to the YouTube channel as well as on your favorite podcasting platforms. Locked On Cardinals is free anywhere and everywhere you get your podcast all the time. So if you can't find a spot, DM me on social media and I will let you know a spot to find it. But until I talk to you guys tomorrow, be sure to stay safe, stay well, and have a fantastic day.